Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And thank you so much for that introduction. It is truly an honor to be here with you this weekend for this momentous occasion. I thank God for the opportunity to stand before you. And first, I'd just like to give thanks to that brilliant woman standing in the back of the room. The mastermind behind the scenes. Stand and give her a round of applause. For inviting me back this year to share with our fantastic pre-law students. I also want to give thanks to my family for being here, my parents who are my rock, and my beautiful, talented, wonderful, amazing son who's in the front row. I love you so much. I'm so happy that you're here tonight. And to all of you who have made the decision to invest in yourselves, invest in your legal career, and invest in your future by being here this weekend at the 10th Annual National HBCU Pre-Law Summit and Law Expo. And I want to applaud you, but before I do, I want us to declare a couple of truths tonight. Every morning when my son and I are driving to school, we declare some very important truths. We declare that our day is blessed. We declare that we possess everything that we need to be successful in the tasks that we have to do that day. We declare that we are loved. We declare that everything that we touch will prosper. So tonight, before we get started, we're going to declare some things together, okay? So I'm going to ask you to please stand if you can. If you can't stand, just raise your hand. And please repeat after me. I declare and affirm.
I declare and affirm
that I have unique gifts and talents.
That I have unique gifts and talents
to contribute to this world.
To contribute to this world.
I declare and affirm.
I declare and affirm
that I belong.
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 In the spaces that I desire to enter.
In the spaces that I desire to enter.
I declare and affirm.
I declare and affirm
that I am committed to doing the work.
That I am committed to doing the work
required to achieve my goals.
Required to achieve my goals.
Even when it gets hard.
Even when it gets hard.
I declare and affirm.
I declare and affirm
that I will not give up.
That I will not give up.
That I will not give in.
That I will not give in.
And that I will reach my goals.
And that I will reach my goals.
I declare and affirm.
I declare and affirm
that wherever I go.
That wherever I go.
And whatever I do.
And whatever I do.
Every good thing that I set out to do.
Every good thing that I set out to do.
Will prosper.
Will prosper.
Let's give ourselves a round of applause. You may take your seats. So tonight I'm going to take you on a walk with me down memory lane. And my question to you is, what will you do next? What will you do next? It was a pleasantly warm and sunny day in August 2007. The sounds of the birds chirping early in the morning were like a melody from heaven to my ears. Because this was the day that I had worked so hard for, and that day had finally come. This day was an answer to my prayers. It was my first day as a lawyer. The first day of the rest of my life where my legal career would help make a positive difference in this world. I had just turned 25. I was joyfully enthusiastic. I had a wardrobe of power suits and heels and accessories that only Tough Bar Clemens could rival. And I was beyond excited to begin the career that I had dreamed of since I was a little girl. I was the first in my family to go to law school and the first in my family to become a lawyer. I was so excited for my first day with the letters E.S.Q. behind my name. So I arrived to the courthouse an hour early, and I introduced myself to the sheriff's officers waiting in the lobby as the new law clerk for the family law judge in the family court division. The sheriff's officer looked at me, he shook his head, and he said, "Little miss, you must be mistaken." Thinking that perhaps he had not seen the list of lawyers published in the courthouse with my name on it, I reiterated, "My name is Joy Tolliver, and I am the family judge's new law clerk." Again, he said, "Little miss, you're mistaken. You must mean that you're the new court clerk." I replied, "No, I'm pretty confident that I'm the law clerk." And the sheriff's officer said, "Well, to be a law clerk, you actually have to go to law school." And I said, "Yeah, I've been there, done that, took the bar exam and everything." He still would not let me in. So I then called my judge, who left his chambers and came down to the lobby where I was. He told the sheriff's officer that I was his new law clerk and to let me in every day forward. This, my friends, was just day one. And unbeknownst to me on that bright, sunny day in August, it was just the beginning of experiences that I would have as a young Black woman attorney in this country. The law clerk position is a one-year term, and throughout the year, I faced situations that I could have never imagined when I was in law school. There were 25 law clerks in the building, and I was the only law clerk of color. And there were people who worked with me in the courthouse whose goal it was to make me feel that I did not belong. Now, the off-color comments, they didn't faze me too much because my parents raised a confident and strong woman. But what did hurt just a little bit was one particular day when I came into the office. I had spent just about the night there. I left a little after midnight, and I was working on a 25-page opinion for my judge. And when I finished the opinion, I printed it out, I attached all of the corresponding research, and I placed it on his desk. I returned to the office at about 8 o'clock that morning, and my judge says to me, "Joy, where is the opinion?" I said, "Judge, I left it for you on your desk." And he said, "There's nothing on my desk." So he and I looked around the chambers, along with his secretary, for about an hour. And that 25-page opinion that I had spent weeks working on was nowhere to be found. So we looked back and forth, and finally I was walking, and I just happened to look down, and that 25-page opinion was in the garbage can. Someone had thrown it away and expected me not to find it. And perhaps for the first time, my judge, who was not a person of color, saw the type of experience that I was having, and it did not stop there. After my clerkship ended, I became a prosecutor, and I became an excellent litigator. There were 180 people in the office of the prosecutor, and only 3 of us were people of color. One day, I had a meeting with one of my adversaries, whose client was facing several years in prison. I introduced myself to the adversary, and I told him that I was willing to offer his client a plea agreement. The adversary looked at me in my eyes and told me that he did not want to work with me, but the big guy standing next to me. The guy standing next to me was a solid 6'5", 250-pound former football player. He was white, and he was my intern. I advised my adversary that the guy standing next to me could not help him, and that this was my case, and that if he wanted his client to get a plea deal, he would have to work with me. But despite that information, my adversary said, "No, I'm not working with you. I want to work with him." So I smiled like I always do, and I told my adversary that unless he wanted a cup of coffee, there was nothing that the big guy standing next to me could do for him, because he wasn't a lawyer. So my adversary decided that he was going to wait for about 6 hours, and he paced up and down the floor, up and down the floor. Court's getting ready to close in 30 minutes. And guess who he had to work with that day? The most important takeaway from these experiences is that they gave me an opportunity to decide, what will I do next? Will I pack up my bags and go home because the opinion that I had spent weeks working on was thrown into the garbage can by someone unknown to me? And by the way, we never found out who did it because the cameras in the courthouse were conveniently not open that day. Or will I take it personally when my adversary doesn't want to negotiate a plea deal with me first time because I'm a Black woman? And that's my question to you tonight. What are you going to do next? It's a wonderful accomplishment to get into law school, to graduate, to pass the law. But what will you do after facing adversity? What will you do when things get tough? Because it's not the obstacles and the difficulties that we face that define us, but rather how we respond and what we decide to do next. In 1976, a 22-year-old recent college graduate moved from Nashville, Tennessee to Baltimore, Maryland to co-anchor the 6 p.m. news. The television network wanted a talented journalist who would appeal to Baltimore's 500,000 Black viewers. After 7 months on the job, she was told that she was too emotional on the news and not the right fit for the anchor position. She was devastated as she personally connected with the stories she presented, and she wanted to connect with viewers at home as well. But it's what she did next that changed the course of her life. She could have packed her bags and headed back to Nashville thinking that maybe she just wasn't cut out for journalism. Or she could use what the TV network saw as a weakness and use that to her advantage. And that is exactly what she did. In 1978, she was offered a position as a talk show host on the network, which many people saw as a demotion from the anchor position. But she knew that she was made for this role. She held this role for 6 years until she was offered her own national talk show in 1984, known as The Oprah Winfrey Show. And it wasn't the job that she had come to Baltimore to do, but as many of my students at Rutgers Law School would say, she ate that. For 8 years, she worked and she showed her brilliance and she showed her talent and her excellence to people who didn't believe in her, people who tried to intimidate her and make her feel that she didn't belong on TV. Friends, tonight I encourage you to do the same. Throughout the course of your legal careers, there will be peaks and there will be valleys. And when you find yourself in those valleys, what you decide to do next will determine your next peak. After the encounter with my adversary that I mentioned earlier, I went on to be one of the best litigators in the prosecutor's office. And I vividly remember my first trial. My adversary shipped me boxes upon boxes of discovery. And I had no paralegal, I had no legal assistant to help me with document review or cataloging evidence. It was just me. And I went through each and every box of discovery. I knew every piece of evidence like the back of my hand. I conducted thorough research, and I knew the strengths and weaknesses not just of my case, but of my adversary's case. So my adversary gave her closing argument, and she opened with something like this. In the 20 years that I've been practicing law, I've never seen an easier case to decide. In my closing argument, I said something like, in the 20 days that I've been practicing law, I've never seen a case easier to decide. And guess what? I won. I won because my adversary took it for granted that I was a young lawyer. I won because she didn't expect me to go through that sea of evidence that she sent, about 8 big boxes. I was overly prepared, I thoroughly researched, and I knew our case better than she did. And truthfully, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have to do as attorneys of color. We cannot take for granted that because we are smart, and because we are talented, and because we're the editor of a law review, that our journey as attorneys is going to be smooth. We have to bring our A game each and every day. And our A game includes constantly being over-prepared and consistently being over-prepared, going above and beyond in the performance of our duties, and walking into each and every room fully knowing and fully understanding that we belong. And truthfully, it took me years to understand how much I belonged. After the prosecutor's office, I became a college professor while also practicing law full-time at a mid-sized law firm where I specialized in labor and employment law and school law. My years at the firm were extraordinary as I learned the business side of the practice of law, and it prepared me for what came next, my role as a general counsel. I've spent the last 8 years of my 16 in the legal profession as a general counsel and vice president to higher education institutions in New York and New Jersey, and it's work that I'm passionate about and it's work that I love. I serve on the executive board and advisory boards of 3 universities, in addition to serving as a law school professor. And serving universities has given me a front row seat into the many inequities faced by students of color, and committed to helping these organizations come to a place of inclusivity and equity. I launched Solutions for Anti-Racism, Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity, abbreviated SADE, which is a DEI consulting firm. So tonight, I encourage you to promise yourself that when the road gets tough, what you do next will advance you in the direction of your dreams and not steer you away. I want you to promise yourself that when others try to make you feel that you do not belong, and it will happen, whether that's in law school, whether that's preparing for the bar exam, or whether it's even in the practice of law, that you will fix your crown and remember who you are. I want you to promise yourself that all of the hard work and the sacrifices that you and others have made to get you where you are today, that they were worth it, and that you are going to stay the course. So one more time, I'm going to ask you to stand, and we're going to do our declarations again, but this time, I want you to say it like you mean it. I want you to own it. I declare and affirm that I have unique gifts and talents to contribute to the world.
That I have unique gifts and talents to contribute to the world.
I declare and affirm that I belong.
That I belong.
In the spaces I desire to enter. I declare and affirm that I am committed to doing the work required to achieve my goals, even when it gets hard. I declare and affirm that I will not give up, that I will not give up, that I will not give up, that I will not give in, and that I will reach my goals, and that I will reach my goals, and that I will reach my goals. I declare and affirm that wherever I go, and whatever I do, every good thing I set out to do, will prosper. Thank you for your time this evening.